Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV, unless your name is Jurgen Klopp. I've had enough of this bloke now, right? I've had enough. He's doing me head in. He's whinging again. Turkey teeth is whinging again. After the Liverpool game at Anfield the other month when Newcastle were robbed, and we all know we should have went 2-0 up because Isaac was onside. We should have at least got a point because stoppage time was played well over. Then Klopp was bouncing about the touchline, running up and down like they just won the Premier League, having a right go and little jimes in the press conference afterwards as well, claiming that Newcastle were diving and wasting time and everything, a bit like they were doing yesterday against Man City then, eh? Funny that, isn't it? But now we've came out, well, this is actually a couple of days ago. Klopp came out and said this, what I'm going to get into in just a second, but obviously we had all the Manchester United stuff to cover, so couldn't get that video out when it came out like 2 days ago, Friday's press conference. He said the following. Disclaimer though, before I get into this, I just want to say, and I said it in my Liverpool rant actually after that game, the match reaction, when we got beat 2-1 at Anfield, that I used to like Klopp, and I used to quite like Liverpool. I wasn't one of those ones I hated Liverpool, I never used to mind them really. Now I'm starting to think differently. Now they're starting to do me head in. Klopp's really doing me head in. When Jurgen Klopp first came to Liverpool, I liked him, I respected him. I appreciated what he did in the Bundesliga, bringing up Mainz, bringing up Dortmund, playing good football, did amazing over there. Seemed a nice, likeable bloke, loves going for a beer after the game. Would have went for a beer with him. First press conference in England, he said he was the normal one, taking the piss a little bit out with Jose Mourinho, saying he was the special one. I liked him. I liked his demeanour. Now, is it because he's getting older? Right whinge, right moan. All he ever does is moan. Funny the amount of moaning he does. And very ironic and disingenuous and contradictive, his moans, quite a lot of the time. But what we'll do is we'll talk about what he said on Friday. Now, a lot of it was at Manchester City because obviously they were playing them on Sunday. He was saying that, you know, he can't compete with City. There's no way I can compete with Manchester City. Well, how am I meant to do this? They've just brought in the best striker in the world, into the best team in the world. And yeah, you can kind of get that, and that is kind of true. But at the same time, it's not like Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool haven't spent any money, is it? You know what I mean? He's the one that spent £75 million on a centre-back in Virgil van Dijk. He's the one that spent £80 million on a goalkeeper. They have constantly reinvested in that squad. They need to now, so I'm not surprised he's whinging now in a way that he wants some new players because they struggle to get them in the summer. They did also sign Darwin Núñez for £80 million. So it's not like they're not spending now. It's not like he's skint. And it's not like, imagine him working on a bike. Actually, he'd be absolutely knackered. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's working like Rafa and that used to have to, where they're taking loan players and players on a free and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He's still splashing the cash every single year. And himself, just because they got off to a poor start of the season, back before the season started, he said, well, I think we're in a good chance for the title race. You know, we've got the best goalkeeper in the world. We've got the best right back in the world. Got the best left back in the world. Got the best centre back in the world. Got the best forward in the world and Mo Salah. Some of them you could put a case for. Yet he's still whinging, and yet he still couldn't pick up results until Sunday when they did beat Man City. But do you know what I mean? He's coming out and whinging like that, saying how we're meant to compete with him when he's just listed off. I mean, the majority of Liverpool players would get into anyone's team in the world, including Man City, really. You know what I mean? The likes of Salah and Bobby Firmino. It's just the midfielder that's not good. Obviously, we've said, you know, Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson, just because they're in and out of form at the minute, they're still pretty much world-class players, especially a handful of them. So you kind of go on and whinge, saying, oh, how we're meant to compete with Man City. How is anybody meant to compete with you? How is anybody meant to compete with Liverpool? How is anyone meant to compete with Man City? How is anyone meant to compete with Manchester United? With Chelsea? Newcastle can't. And this is where I'm pissed off, because this is what he said. So, and it's no coincidence that the three clubs he said Liverpool can't compete with. Isn't it mental that he's mentioning us, by the way? Little old Newcastle. But the three clubs he mentioned they couldn't compete with was Paris Saint-Germain, state-owned, Qatar. Manchester City, state-owned, Abu Dhabi. And Newcastle United, state-owned, Saudi Arabia. So a little dig there. But I'm sure he wouldn't have had any problem at all if the Saudis had bought Liverpool last year, would he? Not a chance would he have had a problem with that at all if he was given more of a budget, which he would have been able to because of financial fair play and the foundations that Liverpool have in place. Whereas Newcastle can't go out and spend willy-nilly because our commercial side of things, our revenue side of things, our sponsorship side of things are a mess or a shambles from the previous regime. We do not make any money as a club enough to invest heavily. Now, yes, Klopp might be onto something here down the line, but he probably won't even be at Liverpool by the time 5 years has elapsed and Newcastle can hopefully compete at the top of that league, can hopefully spend big money that the new owners do have. But at the minute, we can't. we are restricted because of FFP. So there is a ceiling at the minute, and I know Dan Ashworth came out and said there isn't a ceiling, but hopefully there isn't in the future once we get these things in place. But right now, there is a ceiling. Right now, we can't just go, January comes around, goes 500 million, buying everyone, and Mbappe's not happy, is he not? Get him in, £1 million a week. We can't do that yet. And even in the future, that's still going to be hard because they're going to clamp down on teams like us, going to make it tighter for teams like us to do these type of things. So there is a ceiling right now, but that ceiling can be broken with expanding maybe the stadium, the sponsorship deals, all these sort of things we've talked about in other videos. But Klopp is completely wrong in listing Newcastle United now as a team he can't compete with. I mean, he can't on the pitch, had to cheat to get the win last time, didn't they? But if he's listing us as a team he can't compete with when they're spending nearly £100 million on a striker in the summer, they've spent hundreds of millions on centre-backs, on goalkeepers and stuff, and he's saying he can't compete with us. What a load of bollocks, man. They just give Mo Salah a massive new contract. You know what I mean? Mo Salah's on more a week than the entire Newcastle United squad, but he can't compete with us. You're talking shit, Jurgen. Yet again, your turkey teeth are lying. You're lying through your turkey teeth. So what exactly he said, it was the demeanour of what he said at the videos on Twitter and stuff, and you can have a look at it if you watch his press conference video, but the clip's out there as well, where Klopp is on about, he says it in a very, nasty, disingenuous manner as well, where he's like, well done Newcastle, yeah, congratulations, we can't compete with you either, congratulations, well done, you know what I mean, you can do everything you want now. Again, not true. Again, you're lying. Again, you're not making any fucking sense. Just because we've got the rich owners, and that looks good on paper, we can't go out and splash the cash yet. And even, like I said, down the lane, in 5 years' time when Newcastle can probably start spending money like Manchester City do now, and the rules will probably get stricter, in that 5 years, how much are Liverpool going to outspend Newcastle? How much have they already got in place? What's their infrastructure looking like? What's their starting 11 looking like? You know what I mean? So saying that we can't compete with them, he can't compete with Newcastle, Jurgen Klopp, it's just absolute bollocks, and he's whinging for no reason, he's moaning for no reason. Oh, pity me, pity Jurgen, look at how good I am, but I'm still not winning the Premier League, and he got beat in the Champions League final, which you normally win. So, I don't know, it's just annoyed us, that, saying that he can't compete with Newcastle in these little demeanour way of doing it, and oh well, congratulations to them, yeah, well done, as if it's like, yeah, well done, you're ruining football. Oh, what you been doing for the past few years? How much money have you been spending? What did you win? Did you win that on getting players through the academy? Did you? Did you win them trophies, Champions League, Premier League, on signing young players, developing them, or signing cheap players? No. No, you signed Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah. Spent a lot of money elsewhere as well that didn't work out. So, you know what I mean? There's money of Nunes this year. There's money that's been spent from Klopp, so he kind of come out and say that. It's just absolute bollocks. But anyways, we're going to move on from Jurgen and his nonsense. All right, that's enough from him. I just want to quickly touch on the breaking news that Newcastle United have appointed Peter Silverstone as the CCO. So Klopp will be happy about that one because this bloke's being brought in to develop our revenue and sponsorship deals. He did that at Arsenal. He was at Arsenal for several years there, working with their deals like the sleeve sponsor, Visit Rwanda. He had a big part in that to play. Really good at growing that side of the club financially and investing in sponsorships and bringing through new revenue. So that's why he's been brought in. Just quickly what the club have said. Newcastle are delighted to announce Peter brings almost 2 decades of commercial experience in the football industry that will be critical to delivering the club's ambitious commercial growth plans. Now I do hope Jurgen is still watching because he'll be devastated listening to this. He oversaw Arsenal's rapid e-commerce business and the agreement with Amazon for Arsenal's much acclaimed All or Nothing documentary. So again, a slight look towards the future there where Newcastle have already had offers of making documentaries. Could he be the one to seal the deal on that one and make sure we get paid big bucks for getting behind the scenes at St James's Park? Something to look out for as well. Obviously Newcastle and Amanda Staveley are very passionate about the women's football side of things. Our interview with Amanda Staveley, if you haven't seen it, check it out, where she talks about that. And obviously the women coming back to St James's Park in November. Peter also drove Arsenal's club-wide commercial focus on the women's team and the initiative to bring an increased number of women's matches to the Emirates Stadium. So that links in again. Peter, who was born in Glasgow, says he's honoured to join Newcastle as the club embarks on its exciting journey to build a sustainable, leading Premier League and European club. Yes, Klopp, have a listen. Achieving that position will reward the unrivaled passion and loyalty of the incredible Newcastle fans. He goes on to say some other stuff, and Darren Eales also said he was delighted to welcome the club. So good news there, more good appointments behind the scenes at Newcastle United, the right people in the right places to grow us up to rival Klopp and Liverpool and the rest of them to be able to spend that money that he knows we have in years to come. But right now, Klopp, there is a ceiling and you're miles ahead. So stop your little whinging, yeah? Get on with your job, son. You're getting paid well enough. Right then everyone, let us know what you think of this video, drop your comments below, subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, and I'll see you on the next one.